Hey everybody, my name's Daryl Robert. Welcome back to Journey to VR. So I'm trying to figure VR out, and I figured the best way to get started was to talk to one of our customers. This week I'm heading down to New York City to talk to Lucien at Mechanism Digital. He's going to share with us some thoughts on VR, as well as some of the experiences they've been creating. Please tag along as I head on down there to check out their work. Out with my good friend, old buddy, Lucien, and you're into VR.
Loving the VR. The VR is pretty exciting. We're doing a lot more of it these days. It's a big buzzword, and it was an easy transition because we're already doing CGI and fairly technical work in post, and VR takes a little bit more technical knowledge and understanding of sophisticated software and stuff. So a lot of the producers we're finding are coming to us saying, hey, you probably know how to do VR. Can you help us produce this piece? That can be fully animated pieces, or it can be live action mixed with animated CGI elements as well.
Right, exactly. So in VR, there's a pretty large spectrum of types of experiences. What do you guys do? I mean, it runs from very simple stuff that's like essentially 360 video, kind of almost Google Street View for the most novice person, all the way up to these crazy full room experiences. What are you guys working on, and what have you experienced yourself?
Cool. Well, we've seen the gamut. We started in 360 photos, kind of like Street View, and we've even just added simple titles into a promo for TV, up to fully blown CGI where it's completely animated. We're enjoying some of the pieces where we're taking live action and adding elements into the scene. It requires a little bit of tricky tracking if things are moving, but most of the time the camera doesn't move in 360 in live action. You set a tripod there and it just sits, and the viewer then looks around. Now, to be clear, this is the 360 video, which some people think is VR, and some people think VR is more of the real-time rendered animated pieces, where there is more of an ability to move back and forth, and it feels like you're a little bit more there. With a 360 VR, you're watching a passive piece of video, and it's not as immersive, but it's pretty cool, and people are pretty excited about it. Everybody wants to see VR, and many people haven't seen it yet. So this is an opportunity for companies to use a new a new trendy buzzword and get people excited about their brands.
Okay, and when someone comes to you, obviously, that you've got a rich history with clients. How many of them? What percentage of your work now is saying, "Hey, we want a VR thing added onto that"? Is it a common thing for you guys, or is it still very niche? Where's the business at with it right now for you guys?
We typically work for the agencies, so the agencies are often looking for some new way of presenting, and VR is this new way. So they'll come to us, an agency will say, hey, I've got a client, they're looking for something new, we're thinking about doing something VR. They might have some ideas, and then we have to recommend that, oh, this is not a good idea for VR, or this is a good idea for VR. Usually it has to do with whether a camera is going to be moving in the shot, which we have done moving cameras on these roving robots, like an ADP video, but for the most part it's just sitting still. You can't move around like you do with a normal camera because people get nauseous, and that's either in CGI, you can't do that, or in live action. You can move things slowly and let people kind of walk down a hallway slowly, but you can't take them on a roller coaster ride, not usually. It gets a little nauseating.
Okay, so you're kind of guiding them on the do's and the don'ts,
yeah,
and educating them along the way.
Yeah, and so our job is to try to figure out, their strategy with their brand, and we have the technology and the knowledge of this new media format, which is really just a new big television that's kind of wrapped around your head if you think of it that way. But it's a new way of telling stories. You don't need an editor any longer because you don't need a cameraman, because now the user is the cameraman, and you generally don't edit between scenes. You might have a couple of edits, but not every second like you do in a traditional piece of video.
So a lot of your knowledge that you've gained over the years is applicable, but some of the stuff is still to be determined. You're still kind of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, people are inventing all the time with VR. We haven't seen it all, and we won't for a while. So it's exciting to keep learning the new technologies and trying to apply it in new ways. But it's still just another piece of video, so you have to understand image formats, you understand playback formats. There's some new equipment involved, but there's always new equipment in our industry anyway, so this is a comfortable place for us to be.
Okay, great. Very cool.
Right.
So let's go check out some of the work you guys have done.
All right, let's do it.
All right. All right, so what are we checking out here?
So this is a piece we did for ADP. This is a live action shoot. It's using an Ozo camera, and then we've added CGI elements into the environment. This is also shot on a tripod, which you can't see it down there, but it's a rolling tripod that moves around the space. This is, I think, one of the first times this had ever been done, so we were pretty excited to be a part of this project. We've added a bunch of graphics, these heads-up display graphics, all throughout the piece. She's talking about software coming back to the company to be upgraded. And in this video, we visit each of these different people throughout the world, this room, and they talk about each of the advancements and the updates this software is getting. So we learned some troubles with some rooms are dark and some are light, and this is kind of tricky with 360. And you'll see if you look around, there's no crew. So the crew and the director and the producer, everybody has to hide in these 3D shoots, which was pretty kind of funny, everybody running around. So we add CGI elements in as holograms, and we make sure that the robot is not moving any longer, because that makes it a lot easier to match these pieces into the scene. The heads-up display kind of moves around with us, and that's not a problem. But if the holograms, like this one comes up here, needs to be set in a space, we don't want to move the camera around because that would be hard to track.
Very, very cool.
So we used Maya for this and built a lot of objects in Maya, textured planes, actually quite simple objects, but then everything has to be rendered out into 4K. You need at least 4K to wrap all the way around your head so that it's not too blurry. In fact, we're looking forward to 8 and 10K because that's going to be a lot more clear in the future.
Hardware has to catch up.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we checking out now? This looks like the same experience, but obviously it's
this is
a
on
little
YouTube.
different.
Yeah, so you can watch this on YouTube. So this can be seen on a desktop, or you can view it in one of these Gear VRs. This is with the at the Android phones, or even into a cardboard where you can actually put your phone into the cardboard. This project is going to be sent to a bunch of the customers, ADP customers, as talking about the update to their software, and they're going to send out a bunch of cardboards that are printed with ADP graphics. So it ends up being a whole sales spiel in itself. And then people get to keep the cardboard and then see other experiences from anybody, but then they'll always keep this. It says the ADP logo on it. So, but this is the live action. You can look around and see. So there's a heads-up display that moves with us. And then each stop, we put in holograms with CGI elements, so we added to the environment here.
It's spectacular. It's awesome.
So let me show you some other things here. Let's just go to YouTube. We recently did this piece for Fashion Week here in New York, where we added a bunch of graphics, and so there's a bunch of models walking around on a rooftop, beautiful rooftop in New Jersey. And they had us do a lot of the post work on it. We've done a bunch of pieces. Let's see. We've done a few pieces that are completely CGI, which I think are the easier ones to jump into and learn with. We sent this out as a Valentine's card to a bunch of folks. You look around, we created clouds with fluids, and then all these balloons that start rising up. So this was something that you could view again on the laptop or a desktop, or again using your phone with a cardboard viewer. So people are getting into it. We're getting a lot more responses of people actually saying, "Oh, I finally saw something in VR," so they were excited. So again, this is VR 360. It's a video and it's not real-time rendering, but we're excited about doing more work with Maya, exporting models to, let's say, the Unity engine, and being able to play those back in a VR situation where you can move around a little bit left and right. That would require either an Oculus Rift or the Vive HTC, which has a sensor and sees you moving around. The Samsung Gear VR is supposed to have some moving around abilities in the next version they're sending out.
Cool. Perfect. Thanks for sharing your super cool work with us, Lucianne.